Part 6. How she manipulated Esme. Shannon ruined pageants and made Esme break up with her boyfriend, and now Shannon's daughter is turning into a miniature version of her. I've had people ask to keep this going, so here we go. This story has stuff that is old and recent, so I'll list in chronological order. While Shannon didn't allow Esme to have anything her children didn't have, she made sure this was mostly done with her oldest daughter, Minnie, who was born the same year as Esme. So both of them were in the same grade. A lot of times, Esme was put into Minnie's shadow. One way this was done was that Esme never had her own birthday party. She always had to share a party with Minnie, and it was always Minnie's family and friends that were invited. Once my mom tried to throw a birthday party for Esme at a country club with a pool, where Shannon showed up 2 hours later with the kids and complained the entire time. Didn't let a lot of drama fly because the owners of the country club were well known in our small town and would spread her nonsense around like wildfire. Another thing she did involved pageants. Let me clarify before people rage in the comments. It wasn't like pageants and toddlers and tiaras. Half of them you didn't need to wear a dress, so just something nice. My mom, whenever a girl in the family showed a lack of confidence or dislike for their beauty, would put them in pageants to increase their confidence. This usually worked, and if we didn't win, my mom didn't have that you lost attitude. It was always, you tried your best, and I think you looked amazing. Or, the girl who won really did well, be happy for her, and we'll try again next time. Banana and Esme really got into doing pageants. They both loved playing it as a game at home. When Shannon first got with my brother, one of the first things she went with us to do was take Esme and Banana to a small pageant where they both got the two highest titles, Esme getting the higher one. My mom explained to Shannon that she liked using pageants to get the girls in the family to show more confidence, stating that I was bullied and it worked well for me. It did work for me. I felt like when I did a pageant that the girls I was competing with had welcomed me into their community, and I felt like I belonged, unlike in school. Only once did I ever meet one of the most extreme pageant moms, and I felt bad for her daughter. Now, this is where Shannon turned pageants into a negative thing. Every time my mom planned one, Shannon always said she had something else planned with Esme, such as she and the girls were going to get their nails done, they were going to the movies, etc. But always had something come up the last second where they couldn't go and the pageant wouldn't accept any more entries. Then, one day, my mom saw on Facebook where Shannon had entered her two girls and the youngest son in a pageant. And not just any pageant, one of those glitzy ones where the trophy would be as tall as the kids. Minnie had taken the highest title and was standing next to a trophy that was up to her shoulder, with one of the girls' giant crowns covered in rhinestones. My mom was happy the kids had fun and won a lot of prizes, but stopped when she noticed Esme sitting next to Shannon in one of the pictures. My mom called Shannon to ask her if she entered Esme in. Shannon explained she didn't think Esme would want to. We asked her if she asked Esme, and she told us yes. Esme didn't want to be in it. However, the next time Esme visited, this should come as zero shocks to anybody, she asked my mom if she could enter one of those big glitzy pageants. My mom explained that those were a little more expensive and required a lot more from contestants, but then asked why Esme wanted to be in one. She said Shannon didn't allow her to be in the one with her kids. Shannon had told her she didn't have enough money to pay for all the kids' entry fees, and she was a little sad she didn't get a huge trophy and crown too. To say my mom was angry was an understatement, because she used pageants to build confidence, and now Shannon was using them to bring Esme's down. If the entry fee was the problem, my mom would have more than happily covered the cost. But Shannon lied about the reason, leading us to believe she just didn't want Esme to compete. I would venture to say you are absolutely correct. Fast forward a few years, and Esme and Minnie have their first homecoming dance coming up. Minnie couldn't find a date, and Esme was planning on going with her new boyfriend. However, a week before the dance, they broke up. Whenever someone asked Esme why, she stated he made her feel uncomfortable, but never explained fully. It started spreading around the school, and the boyfriend's parents became worried. After all, Esme's explanation held very serious implications, and they wanted to, understandably, get to the bottom of it. So, they went to the house and began questioning Esme, saying that she needed to explain what she meant, that they wanted to know what was going on. When asked by his parents and my brother, Esme just said she didn't know. Shannon got onto Esme, saying that she shouldn't make such serious allegations. Finally, Esme started crying hysterically, yelling at Shannon, "Then why did you make me say it? He hates me now. I only said what you told me to say." Her parents looked at Shannon with disgust and began quietly spreading around what Esme had said. Shannon tried to paint Esme as the liar. My brother was torn. Shannon faking heart complications, he said he felt like he had to comfort both of them. And, with her manipulation, didn't know if Esme was lying or not. In the moments before, he completely sided with Shannon and told her to stay out of Esme's personal life. This is when Shannon began to go around my brother's back, according to Derek, more than she already was, in order to find a new guy because she figured it wouldn't be long until my brother threw her out. After Shannon left, you would think Esme would be free from her influence, but sadly, this isn't completely true, as Minnie is now a miniature version of Shannon. She goes around school telling people that she never considered Esme to be her sister and thought she was annoying. Esme, who did think of Minnie as family, was heartbroken by this. Minnie has been telling all sorts of things, such as that my brother and Esme stole her dog after my niece had posted selfies with the dog in question on her Snapchat. So ridiculous. The dog is not Minnie's by any means. My brother paid over $1,000 for this dog from a family friend. So if anything, it's my brother's dog. It wasn't for the family either. It was for himself, as he always wanted a pit bull. The dog only really bonded with Esme, mainly because Shannon's kids, including Minnie, were cold towards it. Now, Minnie's telling everyone at school Esme is keeping her dog hostage. Minnie has even gone as far as to say she's wanting to fight Esme to beat her up. Shannon's other daughter, Mandy, has stated that she would help her sister gang up on Esme. They've talked about how one would hold her while the other one throws the hits, which I would not recommend for her to do. Esme is short and skinny, but she's also on the baseball team, a high flyer in cheerleading, and works out daily. Esme's been so worried about getting into a fight that she went to her father and asked, "If Minnie hits me, do I hit her back?" Now, the way the school treats fights is that both people have full responsibility, meaning even if Esme doesn't throw a single hit, she will get into the same amount of trouble as Minnie. It's a horrible and stupid rule, I know, it is. My brother told her he doesn't want her to stand there and take a hit, especially if she's just going to get in trouble anyway. Reasonable. He told her, don't throw the first punch, but if she's being hit, to defend herself. I want to believe these two girls are just talking nonsense. But the way they've described how they do it worries me that they are planning it out, and if tempted, would go through with it. It also worries me it could happen more now since Esme was just recently picked by her grade to run for homecoming queen. They picked two girls from each grade. Now my mom, my brother, and Esme's mom are using this as a way to show Esme how little control Shannon has over her. Esme's mother is planning to take her dress shopping and get her hair done, and the rest of us are providing what money we can. My brother says he wants this to be a testament to Esme that she's now free to do so much more and that Shannon and her children can no longer stop her, no matter how angry they may get, which Minnie is just proving to be true because she's currently having a conniption over this. But there's nothing she could do that will take away Esme's nomination. More than likely, Esme won't win because normally between the grades of 9 to 12, a senior is usually picked. But my brother says it's the idea of that Esme could have it and it can't be taken away out of spite. My mom has been joyous over the entire thing, pointing out that Shannon tried her hardest to keep Esme out of pageants, and now Esme's going to be able to feel like a princess on homecoming. Esme is trying to play it cool, but she's excitedly talking about dress shopping with her mom, which surprised me because even when she did pageants, she didn't like dresses and often wore something else like a cute top and shorts or a romper like outfit. I haven't mentioned this to anyone because I don't want it getting back to Esme and making her worry, and there's no reason to stress her out over a hypothetical scenario. But I'm afraid Minnie will pull a Shannon and start some sort of drama at the dance. And if Minnie doesn't, I'm almost 70% sure Shannon will. The only way I can see her not doing something is because she's been trying to play the victim after leaving my brother. But this has quickly crumbled after people have found out the truth for her leaving and all the things that she has recently pulled, which I will tell at a later date. One of them being the asking for the $900 for her car payment after telling everyone she had a new boyfriend. I think my brother also is expecting the same outcome because I've heard him say that he's not going to let them ruin this night for her. Of course, homecoming is months away, so it's possible, even though it's slim, Shannon will lose interest in causing problems if she plans to. She probably won't. Part 7. Shannon got my brother kicked out of his apartment, spread lies about him, and tried to get him fired. I want to thank everyone for the kind words and wishing my brother and niece well. That being said, I'm going to try and wrap everything Shannon has done in the past recently in this post. I probably won't post another part unless something else happens, which it probably will. If I do, it'll probably be tidbit stuff she's done in the past that didn't warrant an entire story. Or I might post a really confusing story that we don't have the answers to yet, as that's if they're actually married or not due to a stunt Shannon pulled. If people are interested, I might post the story, especially if anyone can offer insight about the ordeal, as we're not sure if they're married or not. Who? Your brother? What? The past year has really shown my brother how manipulative and entitled Shannon is because she no longer had to pretend with him. She's even done a few things that shocked my mother and I, which is saying something because we honestly didn't believe this woman had a limit to what she could do. It all started when she moved in with her new rich boyfriend, we'll call Taylor. Only a few weeks into them dating, she was already texting my brother wanting to hook up with him. But my brother was finally done with her and not feeling like he had to cater to her demands anymore, so he didn't respond. He especially didn't want to be her side guy. This continued for a while until he started dating Rhonda. Also, because some people did ask how Esme would treat the future woman, Esme stated she would just see if Rhonda was okay to date her dad, and he let them meet a few times and hang out. Esme loves Rhonda. She talks about her a lot and has stated she's much, much better than Shannon. Now, Shannon has been spreading rumors around town that my brother is still infatuated with her, begging her to come home to take him back. All this stuff that basically made her seem desirable. But when my brother started dating Rhonda, people began to see she was lying. I guess this made Shannon angry because this is when the trouble started. Well, at one of Esme's baseball games, Shannon stole my brother's phone from his car. She admitted to this as she confronted him about texting Rhonda and telling our mother all the things she was doing. She tried to tell him if she came over to his house, she'd let him have the phone back. Needless to say, my brother didn't get that phone back until later on. She was even spreading rumors that my brother was lying about dating Rhonda to make her jealous. Things only got worse when my brother invited Rhonda to a game and Shannon was there. Apparently, she hadn't invited Taylor along and was planning to show him off until she saw Rhonda. The thing about Rhonda is, not only does she do MMA style fighting, she used to be overweight to the point it caused blood clots that nearly killed her. So she started exercising and then got into fighting. Now she looks like a runway model with muscles. My brother often jokes that she could beat him up if she wanted to. Shannon took one look at Rhonda and then left with Taylor. My brother said he didn't know she would be there, but was happy she was so she could see how better off he was without her. But, of course, Shannon stepped up her game. My brother was planning to move into a new apartment. It was specifically for people who worked in law enforcement. My brother is a cop. So, the rent would be cheaper. All that had to be done was for the guy who was currently living there to move out. Shannon approached him and asked him when he moved out if she could move back in, stating that if she didn't move back in the city limits soon, she would have to pay school tuition for her 4 kids. My brother, not seeing the issue since he was moving out anyway, agreed. However, he stated that he wouldn't be moved out in time before school started. Shannon had a fit, demanding he had to be out, and my brother told her that wasn't possible. The next day, my brother's landlord approached him, saying he had to be out in 7 days since he didn't pay the latest rent. My brother got angry, saying that he had an understanding that he was moving out and that he was giving him 30 days, as that was the law. The landlord said that he was only giving him a week, and that Shannon told him how disgusting the house was, how it was destroyed on the inside, and that he had put her on the street with her 4 children. My brother told him it was all lies, even invited him inside the house to show him it wasn't true. The landlord refused, and we later found out that he was a friend of Shannon's brother. He was playing favorites. During this time, a lot of stuff was in the news about horrible police officers misusing their power in the media. So, my brother was hesitant in reacting and was walking on eggshells. His chief told him that they could fight it, but my brother told him it was fine. He'd let her have the house and he'd move in with my grandmother for a little while. This was because he didn't want to be painted as a big bad cop using the legal system to his advantage against a single mother, and because he didn't have money for a lawyer. Eventually, Shannon moved into the old apartment and then was promptly kicked out. Why? Not only was she missing payments, but the house eventually became what she said my brother had turned it into. Moldy pans left on the stove, food spilled everywhere, possibly by the kids, and the odor was so bad you could smell it outside. However, Shannon painted it a different way on Facebook, saying that her and Taylor decided to buy a house together and moved in with his parents to save money. The landlord, however, exposed this as lies, saying he'd never rent to her again. My brother went to his chief and asked for advice, saying that Shannon was getting crazier, spreading rumors about him, and getting him kicked out of his apartment had sent him over the edge. He was worried about how she could ruin his life by painting herself as a single mother of 4 kids and him as this ABUSCR. She was stating to people that my brother had put his hands on her. He even made a post on Facebook about how her stress was so bad it messed with her heart problems. And she had to go to the emergency room. The chief asked my brother if he had proof that he never put his hands on Shannon. My brother said yes, he had confronted her in text, and she told him, "I never said that stuff. Taylor is just assuming you were so sweet to me." As the conversation went on, it morphed into, "They must have misunderstood. I'd never say that." His chief said, while this was good, there wasn't a lot those texts could do, as Shannon could easily say she was scared of my brother, and that's why she said she didn't say those things. What he needed was evidence to show what kind of person Shannon was. He told my brother to go no contact, that if Shannon really was insane, she would pull shenanigans to get his attention. His chief said to document everything and collect enough until he could finally get an RO. Still working on this. The only thing we're missing that would be the nail in the coffin is Shannon attempting something in person. So far, it's only been texts or third parties. My brother did as he was told and went completely no contact. His chief was right, and Shannon started doing things that made her seem completely unhinged. Shannon actually called my brother's work. She started saying things to his chief that made my family wonder if we haven't seen the real Shannon yet. She started saying things, disgusting things, about how my brother was sad, that he needed this insert female area, and how she was this and that for him. How she knew he wanted her, that she was so sorry she couldn't give him this insert female area. Anyway, before hanging up, she called the next day saying that she wanted to report my brother. She said that he came to her house last night and started banging on the door to try to get inside. She sent him a video of someone banging on her door, but the video only showed the door. Of course, the chief called my brother, who stated he had been home all night with Esme. Chief called Shannon back, saying that anyone could have been on the other side of the door. He needed proof it was my brother. Shannon said she had proof, that she had a small camera in the doorbell, one of those security systems, and that she actually found footage of him breaking into her home while she was gone, and he left with all her underwear. So he broke into your house and he left with your underwear. Chief asked her to send that video, but she said she didn't know how to download videos from it. The chief said that wasn't a problem if she would come in with her phone, or better yet, send them the camera, they would extract the footage. If the video showed my brother, he'd fire him instantly. Shannon hung up and didn't bother calling back. The chief called my brother back and told him what she had accused him of, saying that he has never dealt with someone this crazy and that he needed to be careful, that he was actually scared for my brother, that he needed to do everything in his power to avoid her until he gets that RO, that it would make his case a lot stronger if he shows he's actually trying to avoid her. So, my brother did just that. He now drops Esme off at school 30 minutes early before Shannon gets to school. He purposely avoids going to the stores he knows she shops at and takes the long way to work to avoid even driving by the same street she lives on. When she started tracking his location on Snapchat, he blocked her and made sure to do the same on all his other social media. He also made Esme do the same. Right now, in our small town, people are slowly seeing that it's Shannon who's stalking my brother, who was the one who was truly mentally abusing. A lot of people have begun to cut contact with her and have texted my mom to tell the horrible things she's saying about my brother, stalking her, stealing her panties, and how he put his hands on her. The only ones on Shannon's side is her friends, who have helped a lot in her shenanigans, and her family members. Every so often, she still texts my brother for money or says explicit things. He hasn't blocked her number yet. Still does need evidence to build his case for an RO. But she hasn't done anything quite as crazy as when she contacted his chief again. Sadly, because my brother's a police officer and a man, his chief wants him to have a rock-solid case, as he doesn't want Shannon painting a false narrative in court that she's the poor single mother that was a victim of ABUSC, and that a police officer is his power to punish her further. His chief has stated he's seen it happen a lot where a woman who's been doing stalking and the ABUSC will turn things around in court and have the restraining order rejected. My brother has stated he's not sure if he would push for the RO for a year. Where I live, you can get a temporary one that lasts a month, long enough until you have to go to court, and then you petition for one that lasts longer. Says he might just wait until he's getting ready to move to another state, get one done, and then leave. This would prevent her from pulling anything to sabotage his plans or make things harder for him. Once he moves, he's going to be about 11 hours away from her and doesn't plan to post anything about where he lives to keep her from knowing where he goes. This is important because the area where he's planning to move is the same place we moved to about 4 years ago. He's wanting to move closer to us because our mom is starting to become in bad health and he wants to be nearby. Shannon has family that live about an hour away from us. When they would visit, they would sometimes stay at their home, meaning if Shannon wanted to, she could easily have a place to stay here long enough to cause my brother trouble. Oh my God. Considering she got him kicked out of his apartment and tried to get him fired, there's no telling what she might try to pull. And it was this stunt that made me think, and my brother's chief agrees with me, that Shannon has narcissistic personality disorder. All the signs are there. His chief isn't too sure that the night when Shannon called that she wasn't taking something that made this horrible butcher job of trying to frame my brother for breaking and entering, stalking, and panty robbing seem like a good idea in her head. Or if she was just that overconfident she could ruin someone's life with no evidence and lies. Update. Apparently Shannon went out partying and Taylor started sending my brother explicit pictures and trying to goad my brother into a fight. So my brother just called a few minutes ago to let us know that for his mental health and because he doesn't feel safe, he's going to be moving down here next Wednesday and he will be staying with us until he finds an apartment and a job. God. Part 8. The marriage license. Sorry it's been so long without an update on Shannon. I was in finals at my college and didn't have time to post an update that people were asking about. But some things did happen and they revolve around something I mentioned in part 7 that has kind of come to light. Shannon lied about her and my brother being married. For a while, we didn't know if my brother and Shannon were married. They had gotten eloped around the time he was working security for the oil ship. My brother had quit due to every time he left, Shannon would tell him this horrible thing happened to the kids. They were crying themselves to sleep that he was gone, or they had to go to the emergency room. He even said the youngest child almost passed because he had a fever that was so high he was talking out of his head. She even had the audacity to say she heard him saying my dead grandfather's name, who had just passed due to lung cancer, and was talking about seeing him again. The things she would lie about for attention was insane. She even recently lied about her car being vandalized to my brother, saying the detailing stickers on her back glass had been removed. He saw her driving the car yesterday. Not only were there no dents, but the stickers were still there. Now, after my brother quit his job so he could be closer around if the kids had an emergency, Shannon came over and told my mom she didn't believe they were really married. When my mom asked what she meant, Shannon claimed she never sent in the marriage license. I don't know how it is for everyone else, but where I live, the priest is supposed to send in the license after both couples sign it. So my mom was confused as to why Shannon even had it and stressed she had to send that in, that it was possible that they could get into legal trouble if they don't. Well, as far as we knew, Shannon didn't send it in, claiming she lost it. Fast forward to today, and Shannon is announcing on Facebook she's getting married to Taylor. My brother didn't say anything as he wasn't sure if they were married or not, and he didn't really care. If worse came to worse, she'd be charged with bigamy. But a few days later, Shannon calls asking why my brother turned in the certificate, claiming that he needed to let her go and he needed to understand she loved Taylor now. My brother stated he had no idea what she was talking about, that he never saw the license, and she said she lost it. Shannon said she received a call that it had been filed. My brother thought that didn't sound right. Why would they call her about the license being filed? He called and asked. It was filed years ago, around the time they had eloped. They'd been married this entire time, but we had no idea why she lied about it and why she suddenly told the truth. None of it makes sense, and we can't see what she has to gain. Alimony? Shannon had some divorce papers written up. She and my brother agreed to end things amicably without going after each other for money or anything else. Since my brother didn't have any biological children with her, and the biological fathers of her kids are already paying child support, my brother wouldn't have to pay for any support of his own. However, now every time my brother agrees to meet her somewhere to sign papers, she's a no-show. Or she can't do it on the days he's off work. Every time he tries, she either just refuses to meet him or doesn't show up. It's starting to stress my brother out because he's planning on fully moving to where we live in January. He's decided he's going to stay there a bit longer so Esme can do homecoming since she's runner for queen and wants her to experience that. But he is still visiting for 2 weeks during Christmas. He plans on going back home and putting his 2 weeks out in at work, and then packing up once homecoming is over. It's messing with his plans. He had to get an RO. He wanted to time it around the moment he was moving, so Shannon couldn't bug him or do anything to keep him from leaving. But now he can't fully cut her off until the papers are signed, or he risks moving out here and being married to her. Worst of all, in our country, if you're married for so many years, 10 I believe, your ex is entitled to some of your retirement. We timed it out, and my brother should still have a good 2 to 3 years to divorce her. But if my brother doesn't postpone his move, they have a little over a month to do so, as he wants to drive 24 hours to and from Shannon to sign the papers, possibly risking her not even showing up once he gets there. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I have no proof, I think Shannon's main reason for not wanting to sign the papers is because it'll ruin her fantasy that my brother still wants her. She keeps contacting him for money, and they're not small amounts she's asking for. It's normally around the $200 to $900 range, claiming that she has bills to pay or that she wants to buy something. She even had the gall to call him 3 days ago and ask for $300 to buy Taylor something for Christmas. What? What? Are you kidding me? My brother said no, obviously, asked about the divorce papers, and was promptly told that she couldn't meet him. She had to go to the kids' school for something around the time he was able to meet. If anyone has any advice on what he can do, we'd really appreciate it. He's really wanting to move out here and start a new life with Esme as soon as possible, but doesn't want to hit the mark in their marriage where she automatically gets a cut of his retirement check when he's older. Also, we know Corona is going on, but my brother doesn't want to risk living in the same town as her with her spreading rumors and lying about him, especially after what she pulled with his boss. We plan to greet them at the door with cans of Lysol and then quarantine ourselves to make sure they are not sick and that we don't contaminate the neighborhood. Neither of us live in hot spots, but to get to us, they do have to drive through a few hotspot areas, possibly stopping to get gas and for bathroom breaks. Part 9. Shannon is spying in his emails, and her daughter might have ruined a boy's life. Shannon's spying on my brother through his email account and keeps asking for money. So my brother is playing a little joke on her, and may cause a boy's life to be ruined. 2 stories for one. Okay, so for some context. Like I said, my brother is planning to come here for Christmas and got plane tickets to do so. When he did, the flight information was sent to his email. The next day after doing this, Shannon sends him a text asking about his flight. Now my brother hadn't told anyone he was flying. He calls her asking how she knows. Shannon admits she has his email password. We knew she had his Facebook password and Esme's, causing them to have to make new ones since she changed Esme's password so she couldn't get into it without Shannon logging her in. But we didn't know she also had access to his old email account. And brother told her to get off his emails and is planning on changing the password. Before he hangs up, Shannon has a small request. She wants $350 from him. Since he could afford to fly with Esme, he should be able to afford that. My brother, tired of her continuously asking for large sums of money, He tells her, sure, and Shannon is giddy. About an hour after doing this, my brother calls my mom to let him know what happened and what Shannon asked for. He then asked if he was in the wrong for lying to her because he was starting to feel guilty because he started worrying that Shannon would blow through her money because she's now expecting $350 for him. She's a grown-ass adult. She's a mother of four. That's not your problem. My mom and I agreed that he shouldn't feel guilty about it. She left him for another man and tried to get him fired. She has completely badgered him for money since then and doesn't understand no means no. So we think this little prank on her might make her think twice before asking. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not. My brother was still feeling guilty until my mom reported a post that Shannon had on Facebook that was bragging that Taylor was buying her a new car because her old one had been vandalized twice. It wasn't. He got so angry, stating that she was begging me for hundreds of dollars and then goes around bragging he's buying her a new car. She was telling them they were low on money. Now, because Shannon lies so much, we don't know if she's actually getting a new car. However, it's the idea of it. I received a lot of positive feedback from these posts, and I want to thank you all for the advice you've given my brother. I've passed it on to him, and he's trying to think of ways to use it so he can be divorced from Shannon. I did get one comment saying if he's in a union, that'll help him get a lawyer. But sadly, my brother informed me that police officers in this area are not allowed to have unions. My mom's sister also came to the same conclusion that some other comments brought up, that the reason she's not meeting my brother to sign the papers is because she hasn't actually filed or doesn't have the papers. So, my brother is planning to get some of his own drawn up. However, my mom thinks it's because of another reason. Shannon was supposed to get a house with Taylor, and it was around this time she wanted the divorce. But plans fell through, and that's when she stopped asking. So, my mother believes Shannon only wanted a divorce to prevent my brother from trying anything with her house. Not that he could, since judges in our area normally will not split property if it's bought after two people split. Some people also brought up Shannon's children, how they're going to be those apples that don't fall far from the tree. And I wanted to hope that they didn't grow up like her, but a lot of things happen to make me think that they're going to be exactly like their mother. A recent event made me think this is likely. Minnie, the one who threw rocks at my mother and threatened to beat up Esme, ruined a boy's life the other day. He's now kicked off the basketball team and is facing legal action. No, Minnie didn't make an allegation or anything like that. What actually happened didn't involve Minnie at all, but she was bragging about how she was basically ruined this person's life. What happened was, Minnie was sitting behind the boy in class. The boy was talking to one of his friends about his girlfriend, who was the exact same age as him, and then proceeded to share a private photo she sent him with his friend. I know where this is going. Minnie saw the photo and went to the principal. The school is treating it as underage. You are right. And this boy's entire life could now be ruined because of this. Well, I know you shouldn't share private photos. I think this went way too far. Well, after Minnie started bragging about what she did, a lot of the kids at school turned against her. I'm not sure what she thought would happen. This boy was very well liked and one of the main players on the basketball team. Some of them are ignoring her while others are telling her straight up that what she did was horrible. They demanded to know why she did it. Minnie instead turned around and started being nasty to Esme, who had nothing to do with the situation, blaming her for people treating her the way they are. Esme is, of course, confused on how Minnie can blame her for her own actions. And I can't help but think of Minnie being a mini Shannon. She does things purposely to hurt people, and when she's called out on it, it's always someone else's fault. Part of me also worries about Minnie doing something to try and get Esme kicked off the cheerleading team. I've never known her to lie like Shannon does, but I do know she does look for stuff to get people in trouble and does blow things out of proportion. She purposely spies and listens in on conversations just so she can run and tell anyone she views as an authority figure. During times I had to babysit them, every 10 minutes she was telling me something her siblings were doing. If I said something to them, she'd tell Shannon I got onto them in order to try and get me in trouble because she knew her mother got angry if anyone said anything about her kids misbehaving. Two for the price of one, I guess. I also feel bad for the boy she got into trouble. What he did wasn't good, but it wasn't criminal. I don't think he had any ill intent or anything like that. I think he was just bragging to his friend. It was kind of shocking to find out someone that's 15 years old can get charged for being a pedo, for showing an image of his girlfriend. If I remember correctly, Esme told me the girlfriend is older by around 6 months. But I looked into our laws here, and yeah, even though he only showed it to one other person, two if you count Minnie spying, it's considered him showing. And because she's 15, yeah. Due to that, he can be charged with underage PRN, even though he himself is underage and it was a photo sent to him. If he had taken it without permission, then yeah, I could see how this kid is probably troubled. But I think it was just some kid bragging to his friend, in this case, unaware he was breaking any laws. I don't know if he's facing time in juvie, if this will be on his personal record, if he can be tried as an adult, probably unlikely, or if he'll get any community service. It's too early to know. All I do know is that the police are doing an investigation and that he's banned from basketball. It wasn't a photo he took without consent or anything like that. She admits to sending it to him. However, in the eyes of the law, this doesn't matter. All that matters is that he had a photo of someone underage, and the laws are designed to protect minors from pedos. As far as the law is concerned, this boy is pedo, and they plan to treat it as such. I'm a bit disturbed about how proud Minnie was of it until everyone else at their school called her out, like she was happy she got him in serious trouble. Edit. I just want to put this in here for clarification because I received a comment about this. If Minnie had gone to the girlfriend and told her he showed the picture to his friend, I would have supported her choice because it would have been the right thing to do. To leave it between the boyfriend and the girlfriend. But instead, Minnie purposely tried to get him in trouble. The kid wasn't showing the pictures to everyone, just the one friend. But now, because of all this, everyone in the entire school knows about this photo. Minnie's actions weren't wrong because she's Shannon's daughter. They're wrong because she may have ruined someone's life because she wanted to get someone else in trouble. If she had done it to keep the picture from being spread, like I said, went to the girlfriend about it, it would be different. If the boy was showing multiple friends or people, then I'd say he needs to face some harsh punishment. However, I don't believe some boy, ignorant of child laws, who showed one person should face legal action. His girlfriend should probably break up with him, but I don't think he should have a criminal record due to it. Also, the way the law worked, he could have shown 0 people and still be charged. The law is only concerned about you having the content, not about it being shared. His girlfriend could also face legal actions when they go to investigate her, because if she saved any of the photos of herself or saved any private photos he sent her, she will also be considered to be in possession of child. So, 2 teenagers could have a criminal record for sending photos to each other. Part 10. Update on the mini story. Okay, since the last time I posted about Shannon begging for money and what her daughter did, the full story has officially come out. Lies have been exposed, and it turns out Shannon was behind what Minnie did. What? This gets crazier and crazier. The original story Minnie told was that she saw a boy in her class showing a picture of his girlfriend topless to another one of his friends and reported it to the principal. Minnie went around bragging about it, and after a lot of kids giving her the cold shoulder and bullying her, which makes me feel really bad for Minnie. No child deserves to be bullied. Minnie finally admitted the truth. The picture wasn't of his girlfriend. It was a meme of a naked woman, and Minnie had actually asked him to show it to her twice. Once when he was showing his friend, and then another time on her own. However, him and his girlfriend were sending those types of messages, and he is being investigated for this, and police are considering investigating the girlfriend as well. He had pictures of his girlfriend and of himself that he had sent to her. So, there's the possibility both will be charged with possession and distribution of underage pictures. However, the shocking revelation was that it wasn't Minnie's idea to go to the principal. It was Shannon's. She came home and told Shannon what happened, and it was Shannon who told her to go to the principal about it. I'm not sure whose idea it was to twist the story around, but like I said before, Minnie isn't known to lie. So part of me feels like it is Shannon's doing. I also won't rule out the possibility that the whole situation was twisted when it spread around the school. But considering the police confiscated his phone specifically to look for the underage content, and the woman in the meme was older, I don't think it was a rumor. Someone lied somewhere, or just not sure who. But if it was Minnie, I have my doubts about it being her idea. As it turns out, the kid didn't show pictures of his girlfriend to his friend. It was of a woman in a meme, one that I'm not sure if he had found on the internet or made himself. From what I understand, it was one of those model women that you can probably find pictures of anywhere. For the past couple of days, Minnie has endured a lot at school, and I feel bad for her. The kids have started calling her names, and after the truth came out, the opposite of what Minnie wanted happened. Children at school are now calling her a perv for wanting to look at the picture and some other very nasty names. I know Minnie has been going through a rough time right now because, as I learned, she's hardly been with Shannon after she left my brother. Her and her siblings have only spent a few days with her at a time, and the rest of the time she's been at her father's house. I knew Shannon did this before. She wasn't shy to find people to hand her kids off to. But apparently it's worse now. Minnie's been trying to go to therapy. According to my brother, she has been for the last few months and has been talking about wanting to unalive herself. That her mother left her with her father and over the course of the summer break went nearly 2 months with no contact. She stated she feels homeless because of all this and that her world is falling apart. My heart breaks for this little girl, and I can't help but wonder if maybe she didn't want to go to the principal at all, and just how much of this actually isn't her fault. I think the things she's doing might just be learned behavior, and I'm happy her father is taking her to a therapist so she can get the help she needs. It also explains why she's been so cold and rude towards Esme, threatening her and such. She might just be lashing out, and while I don't like it, I can understand the anger and confusion she must be feeling. I had known that Shannon's son, who I'll just call L, had reached out to my brother and stated he felt like Shannon never loved him and asked him if he could still call him dad. The youngest child is the same way. Minnie and the youngest daughter seemed very cold towards my brother. However, it was only the youngest daughter that ever seemed to do things purely out of spite. Minnie hardly said much about the situation. What she did say was always directed towards Esme in a negative way. It makes me wonder just how all the other children are handling this. The two boys are more open about their feelings, but Minnie and her sister seem very bottled up. I'll try to provide more updates on this case as I can. And this isn't the happy update I was hoping for. As far as I know, police still intend to charge this boy, but no one knows when. They're considering starting an investigation on the girl as they have evidence that he did send her images of himself as well. And Minnie is suffering a lot more than anyone realized. Esme has stated she wants to try and be more friendly towards her, but she's not sure if she should try or give Minnie her space, as it does seem Minnie is directing her frustrations towards her. I don't like it, but it's understandable. Children will look for someone or something to blame in these kinds of situations. If it comes out that Shannon did put Minnie up to lying or convinced her to change the story in any way, I can't describe what I would feel towards her. Is there a word that's stronger than hate? If there is, if this is the case, that means she just put her daughter, who she knows was thinking about unaliving herself, in a situation where the entire school is now bullying her in horrible ways. Part of me wonders if the reason she went around bragging about it is because of how Shannon might have treated the situation. And even if it was Minnie who lied, part of me still feels like it's Shannon's fault. I'll probably get told I'm letting my hate of Shannon cloud my judgment here. But I feel like Minnie did lie. It's learned behavior from her mother, who lies all the time to start drama or be seen as the victim constantly. Children are going to copy the things they see their parents do, and Minnie has grown up around this. If it was Minnie's choice to lie, I do think she should face some consequences because, again, two teenagers might have their lives ruined. But I don't think she should be bullied by the other students, especially when she's already considering unaliving herself. Part 11. This is the last part. Attempting to cause more drama. It's been a while since I posted anything on Shannon, mainly because there wasn't much to talk about. My brother and Esme came for Christmas, and we all had a lovely time together. I tried to avoid even bringing up Shannon's name around my brother if he didn't bring it up. And if he did, I tried to change the conversation. I wanted him to relax and not think about her as much as possible. But during their time here, Esme admitted she used to think that I favored my other niece, Banana, more than her because I seemed to do more things with her. I was able to admit to Esme that when I planned things, such as baking or going places with them, I always had the intentions of taking them both. But every time I tried to get Shannon to bring over Esme, there always had prior plans. Normally, the excuses were one of two things. Either they were going to get their nails done or going to a movie. Esme admitted to me she and Shannon never went to get their nails done and that they only went to the movies around 2 to 3 times together. It was a small victory having my niece know that I did want to be around her more and that I wasn't purposely excluding her or not thinking about her. About a day after they returned home, my brother called us and said he had been thinking about a few things regarding Shannon. He said he was thinking about Esme's reaction to everything. Shannon had been in Esme's life for 9 years, that she was only around 5 years old when she came into her life. She's grown up with her children. She should have considered them her siblings, but she didn't. My brother said when he first told Esme that Shannon had left, she didn't seem to care. The only people she seemed concerned about was Shannon's sons, mainly the youngest one. He said it had really been bothering him and finally started questioning Esme on this. Esme has been revealing a few things. One of the main things being that Shannon, after finding babysitters for her kids, would go out with friends while my brother was at work, leaving Esme by herself at home. One time, she even left one of her friend's dogs at their house for Esme to watch. This is a problem because Esme has a huge dog that's not fond of other strangers' dogs, and if they got into a fight, Esme could have gotten hurt trying to separate them. My brother was furious and admitted to my mom that he's worried that Shannon mentally abused Esme, and that Esme told him that the reason she never said anything before was because she was afraid of Shannon getting angry at her. My mom, once again, told him he needed to rethink what he just said over, that he needed to realize that he was also in a mentally abusive relationship. For the first time, my brother finally admitted it, that he's starting to believe that's the case. However, he was more worried Esme had also been treated the same way. My mom, not wanting to worry him more, didn't tell him she agreed that Esme probably went through a lot we may never hear about, and instead just let him vent his frustrations of everything that's been building up. After only a few days of being home, Shannon was back up to her mischievous ways. My brother was in his cruiser in a parking lot that has one of the town's cameras pointing at it, waiting for a call or an emergency. His chief, who's back at the station monitoring the security cameras, receives a call from Shannon, who's screaming that my brother is beating at her door. His chief could hear someone beating against the door, but asked her who it was. Shannon. It's T. He's trying to break in right now. Chief. Are you sure? Shannon. Can't you hear him beating at the door right now? Chief. I can hear someone beating at the door, but it's not T. Shannon. How can you be so sure? Chief. Because I'm looking at him on the security monitor. There was a pause before Shannon hung up. This is the second time this happened, and my brother's chief once again went over the rant about making sure he doesn't go anywhere near Shannon. And if he has to, in order to sign divorce papers, make sure it's at a place with cameras. And he's worried she'll try to lie about something in order to get him in trouble. I think the only reason they haven't got her for filing false police reports is because they can hear someone is beating on the door and they can't prove she's having them do it. All it can prove is that it's not my brother, not that she's not actually in danger or misunderstanding the situation. She could easily say she heard loud banging at the door, assumed it was my brother, but it actually turned out to be a neighbor or one of her kids playing a joke. However, if she tries this a third time, I don't think the chief is as likely to let it go, as he's informed my brother he's starting to grow tired of her antics. And he's worried if she does this again, my brother doesn't have an alibi or is close to one of the town's security cameras, then he's likely to get in trouble. He's been trying to take the advice that a lot of people in the comments have given him. But without the money for a lawyer, a lot of the option he's been given sadly can't be used. He keeps trying to meet with her to sign the papers. But she always has something to do last minute. And my mom thinks it's just another one of her games. So my brother devised a plan. He believes her boyfriend, Taylor, doesn't know that she's married, as he keeps posting on Facebook about how they're engaged. So, if Shannon tries to pull this again, my brother says he's planning on informing her that if she doesn't sign the papers soon, he's going to contact Taylor and let the guy know he needs to get a lawyer, because my brother is planning on moving soon and he's not going to drive back to their state to sign papers, and they'll have to come to him if they want them signed, or have to take him to court, effectively informing Taylor that he and Shannon are still married and that he's been trying to sign the papers, but she keeps finding excuses to avoid it. And then, finally, what happened Friday? As I stated before, Esme is one of two girls in her grade elected to run for homecoming queen. The way it works is that two girls are picked from grades 9 to 12, and they each run against each other, while one of the two seniors always wins. It's just an honor to be nominated. Shannon recently started working as a lunchwoman. Her reasoning is because due to the pandemic, no houses are selling. She works as a realtor. This is both true and possibly a lie. The housing market has taken a heavy hit, but the company she works for shows real estate agents and the houses they're currently representing. When I pull up Shannon's name, she has no houses listed. I don't think she has any houses to sell currently, and I'm not sure the reason why. It could be because houses aren't selling well in that area, but it seems like every other agent in the same company has at least one or two houses. Then again, maybe there's some sort of seniority where those who have been there longer get more better houses. Shannon would be the newbie, and it would make sense if there's a shortage in houses, they would go to realtors who have been working longer for the company and have more experience in selling. But I'm not exactly sure how exactly the realtor business works. Esme was at lunch while Shannon was cleaning off tables. Over the intercom, it was announced that homecoming candidates needed to stay behind after lunch to take photos. I think it was for yearbook. After that, Esme watched as Shannon instantly stopped midway through cleaning a table, tossed her cleaning rag down, and stormed out of the cafeteria without so much as making eye contact. Esme said she felt a little hurt because she thinks Shannon stormed out because Esme was going to have to get her picture taken in the cafeteria. My brother has told her not to worry about it, and while Esme doesn't seem upset about the initial reaction, she's dropped a few hints to my brother that Shannon is going to try and do something, which only makes my brother worry more that Shannon did indeed do the things behind his back to mess with Esme. My brother has told her not to worry about it, and while Esme doesn't seem upset about the initial reaction, she's dropped a few hints to my brother that Shannon is going to try to do something, which only makes my brother worry more that Shannon did indeed do things behind his back to mess with Esme for her fear of retaliation just because she's getting something. When my brother was informing my mother of all this, he pretty much had all but a breakdown, which was terrifying as I had never heard him talk the way he did. He described himself as feeling trapped, just waiting for Shannon's next tactic. He says he can't stay there anymore, that it feels like the walls of his apartment are closing in on him each moment he's there. He doesn't care about getting the RO anymore, or even if he gets divorced. He just wants out. The only thing that stopped him is Esme. He doesn't know if Esme will want to go before school lets out, or if she'll want to go at all, because Esme will be leaving behind her mother and her half-brother, who she cares for deeply. He said he knows Esme says she wants to come here, but with the way she's acted towards Shannon and knowing now how she'll do whatever someone else wants to keep them from being angry, people pleaser. She's a people pleaser. He doesn't know if she's just saying that because she thinks that's what he wants to hear. But at the same time, he can't bear to be apart from her, that he struggled with it while he was working on the oil rig ship as security, and that was only for a few months at a time. He doesn't know if he could handle only seeing her a couple times a year yet. He also doesn't want to force her to move as well. So he's stuck in a hard decision. He said he's talked with her, told her, and reassured her whatever choice she makes, he'll support her on it. Even though she's consistently said she wants to move, he says he's fearing she's only parroting what he wants her to say. My mom has told him to go ahead and move here. See how she likes it and how she does. And if she gives any signs of wanting to go back home, talk with her again about it. But my brother fears Esme won't tell him how she actually feels and will continue to let herself be unhappy to prevent him from feeling upset with her. Esme has basically become an extreme people pleaser. I've noticed it at times too. If I show mild distaste for something, Esme will quickly change what she wants or her opinions on something to agree with you. During her last summer here, we were able to break her from this constantly asking if she's sure, reassuring her If she didn't want to do something, she doesn't have to. And slowly, she's become a little more assertive. And if she didn't like something, she lets us know. Some things she's still very strict on, refusing to budge, such as ice skating not being a sport. Weird hill to die on, but go off, I guess. But other things she's always too easy in caving on, such as deciding where we're going to eat tonight, what we're going to go do, what we're going to watch, who's doing what, opinions or certain topics she doesn't particularly feel strongly towards one way or another, etc., etc. While it's small things, it's still concerning for her to just go with everyone else instead of telling us, no, I don't want to do, eat, watch that. Because we feel like she's not making any boundary lines. And if another person like Shannon ever came into her life, they could easily gaslight her into doing what they want again. Okay, well, that was the last update. And that was 3 years ago. So I don't know if she's just stopped updating or if hopefully maybe nothing has really happened. And maybe everything's been peaceful and quiet, which is what I really hope for them. If I happen to stumble across her Reddit, and she's given an update, I will absolutely jump on that because I am actually incredibly invested in this now. Really, really invested in this. And I want to know what happened to her brother and Esme. And I want to know if everything's okay. But for now, that's all I have. If you're still here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you and I appreciate you so, so, so very much. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet and you feel so inclined to because it really helps me out. I really, really appreciate it because I really, really need it. And if you have any suggestions, please reach out to me and let me know. And until next time, stay safe out there.